Hi and welcome to this video. So in this video, we will be creating a personal blog application using React and Firebase. So let's get started. Awesome. So let's open our terminal and we will be using Create React app for it. So if you have not already installed Create React app, please do that. All you have to do is just do npm I minus G for global create React app. That's it. And it will install Create React app for you globally, right? And I already have installed it, so I won't be installing it again. And after you have done that, let's just navigate to desktop, right? And it just clear everything. And what we have to do is simply we have to run the command create React app, and simply we have to tell the project name what we want to give, and we'll say React blog. That's it. And we press enter and it will download all the necessary stuff, and it will basically create a boilerplate code for you so that don't have to do a lot of stuff by yourself. Awesome, guys. So it's already installed. So it has installed already all the necessary stuff to continue our project. And what I can do is I can navigate inside into the project, right? So first, before doing that, what I'll do is I'll open it inside my Visual Studio Code editor. So I'll just do code and the project name, which will be React blog, and it will open my VS Code editor for me. And also in the meanwhile, let me just go inside that as well, React blog. So guys, this will be a simple blog application wherein we will be able to add posts, and we'll be using Firebase. So, so Firebase, we'll be using that to store our data, right? And it will be a simple plain blog application, not very fancy. We'll just be creating posts, saving them in the Firebase Firestore, and we will retrieve the posts as well, right? So we'll also be using React Router in our case over here, and also Firebase Firestore, Cloud Firestore. We will be using that, and also in the end, we will host our project using Firebase hosting itself, right? So it will be a simple project. So let's get into it. And first, let's quickly just remove all the things, all the files that we do not actually require. So let me just increase the font size. I think this should be fine. So let me just quickly run the project as well. I'll do npm start, and it will open the project for me in my browser. It will be localhost 3000. So in the meanwhile, let's just quickly go and remove all of the stuff that we don't require. And I'll use the terminal for this. So let's quickly open the terminal. And here, I think it already opened the files for me, the project for me in the browser. And again, it may take some time. So let's quickly go over here and remove all the stuff that we don't actually need, right? So if we do ls, we are in our source folder. No, we're not in the source folder. We're in the React blog folder. So let's go into the source folder, and we'll remove all the files which we do not require. Right, let me just close this later. Right, so what I'll do is I'll just do rm command to remove all the files that I don't need. I don't need app.css. I don't need app.test.js. I don't need logo file. I don't need service worker. I don't need setup, and I think that's fine. And I'll also need to create one folder, mkdir components. So all of my components will go inside of here, right? And I'll just put my app.js inside components folder as well. In my components folder, I'll basically create a new file, index.js, and inside here I'll import app uh, from the app component, which is directly over here only. And I'll export this in the object like this. Export app, right? So I will allow it. That's great. So now let's quickly go to the browser and check. Obviously, a few things will be breaking because we have deleted a few files, a bunch of files, right? So obviously things will break. Let's quickly fix those. Let's go to index.js first, and let's quickly just close this over here. Let's remove all of this stuff that we do not require again. We don't need this. And this time our app is coming uh, from the from the source folder. Rather, we are inside source only, the components folder. Let me save it. And one more, what I like to do is I'll create a new file called .prettierrc, and I'll just give it a single quote equals to true. So guys, this is basically I'm creating a configuration file for Prettier extension. So this extension comes in different editors, and this will automatically prettify the code for me when I save it, right? So let me just show it to you. If I do something like this, and if I press Command S or Control S, you see it prettifies the code for me. So it's a very useful extension that I generally do use it. And yeah, so this is the app component. This should be fine. And let's go to the app.js file as well. Let's remove all of this stuff which we do not require. Let's write hello world, and we don't need logo. We do not need app.css as well because we have deleted the file. We'll only be using index.css file for our styling purposes. That's it. So let's go over here and refresh, and we see our hello world over here. And I think everything is working fine. That's awesome. So now we can start building our application. And here, let's first install the necessary things that we do require. So let me just clear this, and I'll do npm I react router, which is required for our application. And you install that, okay? And we'll quickly set up our React router first, and then we'll basically move on to creating the components and styling those components, right? And once you've styled the components, in the end, we will start with Firebase stuff, adding data to Firebase, retrieving data from Firebase, and things like that, right? So in the meanwhile, since our router is being installed, let's quickly go and start our implementation process of React router, right? So what we will do is quickly let's wrap our whole app with browser router, or the router which comes with a React router, right? So I'll quickly import all of that from here. I'll do import browser router from as router, and it will be coming from React router. And one thing we forgot to do is we had to basically install React router DOM and not the React router, right? We have to install the DOM because again we'll be using for web only and not for mobile application or any other, right? Any other thing. So we'll just download the router, and what we need to do is we just simply need to wrap our app component around the router like this, as simple as that, right? So now what we can do is inside our app we can define our various routes. Great, right? So I think it has installed. Let's quickly check. Let's open the terminal and check. Okay, terminal is not opening. Okay, so let me just open the terminal from the top. New terminal. Let's go to the first over here, and I think it's still installing. Anyways, so I think it will take some time to do it. Anyways, you also install that by the meanwhile. And once you're done with this setup, let's go to app.js, and here we'll be defining our routes, right? So our routes will basically be, I think, 3 routes. The first one is your home page, wherein you'll display all the list of blog posts, right? The second will be the post detail page, wherein when you click one of the link in the blog home, you basically navigate to that particular page, and the third will be the uh, create blog page, right? So we require these three things. So let's quickly go and in our app component itself over here, let's do it, right? So first of all, let's import some stuff. We'll import switch, we'll import route, uh, right? And I think that would do for us for now. React router DOM, and that is fine, right? And again, once we have downloaded the package, it will automatically, uh, automatically just remove all of this yellow underlining and things like that, right? So let's quickly convert this app component into a class component, because I think most of you might not know React hooks. So in this particular video, we'll be covering only class component. So for that, I'll use RCC, and this is again React snippets extension, where when I click this, it will basically write the whole class structure for me, right? So this is how awesome it is, right? So this has to be React dot component. Great. So here inside our render method, let's just quickly define all the routes and everything, right? So we'll use route over here. Again, my VS Code is behaving weirdly. No matter. Anyways, so here what we'll be doing is instead of route, this basically has to be enclosed in a switch component. So let's do that. And again, my browser is behaving weirdly. Inside the switch component, we will put the route, right? Great. And route will have only one ending bracket. We don't need the closing route tag as well over here. So here we'll write path, right? And this will basically be the main path, the home path, or to say. And here our component will be what do we call? Let's call it home component, right? We'll import it, no worries. So route over here as well. So we're creating three things over here, right? So let's create our post over here, post component and ID. This will be a post detail component, and let's make this like that, post detail. And again, we'll create these components, so don't worry. Over here, this will be create post, right? And let's name that create post as well, right? And let's quickly do an exact over here, such that whenever the exact path matches, only then these routes will open, right? So I think that would be sufficient for now. So let's quickly import these uh, from our components folder and create them as well. So let's do that. So let's quickly create these components first in our components directory. Here I'll create a new file and I'll name it home.js. Here also I'll create a new file and I'll name it post detail.js. And let's see what other components we have. We have create post as well, create post.js. So here are three components. Let's quickly write those down as well. I'll use RCC. Again, I'm using React snippets. So it should come automatically. Let's wait for it. Uh, let's go to other files and see. We have to wait a little bit, or you can do is control and spacebar. It will automatically show up, and sometimes it does not work. As you can see over here, it's not working. So instead what we'll do is we'll try to just go to app.js and we just copy paste the code. We'll just copy paste this part of the code, everything basically. Let's try again. RCC, it's working. Nope, it's not working. So let's use this one only, and here we'll use uh, create post. Great, awesome. And let's just name it create post over here, save it, and let's copy this inside our home as well. We'll just make it home and change this as well. Home, inside post detail as well. This should be post detail, and this should be again post detail. And let's save it. Quickly close all of these, and let's export it from here. So we'll do an import first. Import home from home, and we'll also do an import create post uh, from create post, and we'll also do an import of our post detail from post detail. Great. So we forgot to wrap these inside our ports. Let's just export them quickly. Export all of these. Great, for a post detail as well. Great. So let's just quickly copy those, and in our app, let's just import those, right? So what we'll do is import home and everything from dot like this, because all these components are same inside the same folder, right? Let's save it. We have an error. Did not found React Router DOM. Let's open the terminal and check. It is installed. Let's go to package.json as well and see if we have React Router DOM. We have it, right? And React Router DOM is fine. Index.js React Router DOM, save, refresh. Let's wait for a second to load. Let's just finish loading. And in the meanwhile, what I want to do in app.js is, I think this is fine. Our slash will take us to home. Our slash post slash some ID will take us to post detail. Our slash create post will take us to create post component. That sounds awesome. Let's see if we have any errors. It's still compiling, guys. It's taking some amount of time. So let's wait for it to compile, and then we'll come back and see what is happening. Okay, awesome, guys. So my server has finally started. I just had to run it on another port, and everything is fine. So here we have at the slash level, we have home. And if I navigate to, let's say, create post, it will take me to create post route as well. And that it will render the create post component for me, right? So it is taking a bit of time, but I think it should work definitely. And in the meanwhile, yeah, so we have this create post component over here, right? So let's go back to home, and let's quickly now style the component. But before that, let me just commit everything first, right? So let's just commit everything. I'll open my terminal. I'll say git status. I'll do git add all, and I'll say git commit -m project setup. And again, guys, just go to the GitHub repository. I'll just put the link down below in the description box, so just so you guys can just quickly go over there, right? And I've committed the code. That's awesome. Now let's quickly design our application, right? So we have our home. So what I'm thinking of is in the middle, what we'll have is we'll have our blog name, whatever the name it could be, and then we'll have a bunch of posts, right? So let's quickly do that. And since we already have our UEFA Nations tournament going on, football tournament, so we'll create a blog around that, right? So let's go to home. Quickly over here, I'll give a heading. I'll say an H1, and again my Visual Studio Code is behaving weirdly. Anyways, so we'll say UEFA Nations blog. Awesome, right? And here we'll have a div, right? And this div will basically be one post, right? So inside this div we'll have post heading, when was the post created, right? And a few like just a top line of the post, right? So we'll do that as well. So here we'll say class post, and here inside this we'll have a heading of or NH3 maybe. Let's say we'll say England defeats Iceland. Great. And here just below, I'll have a p tag wherein we'll just give some information about the match. England finally came through after Sterling scored uh, one goal at the very end. Right, so we'll save it, and this is our current home. So let's go and check it out. So we have one error over here. We have one div. This should be v over here. Let's save it and refresh, and we have everything over here. So let's do one thing. Let's name it um, class equals to home. Rather, what we can do is again, this should be v. Inside our app.js file, let's name this class as container. And what I'm trying to do is I want to try to center the all of the contents in the middle, right? So in my index.css file, I'll open that, and here I'll do container. What I'll do is I'll give a width of 800 pixel. I'll give a margin for now, not margin, but border to see what happens. 1 pixel solid red, and I'll also give a margin of 0 auto to center it vertically, rather horizontally. So you can here you can see I have centered it horizontally. That sounds good. And here also inside our home.js, let's name it, give it a class of home, so that we can define or basically style all of these elements inside it, right? So we'll say dot home, and here h1 should be text align center, very straightforward. Center, save it, and our UEFA Nations blocks will be at the center. So let's now basically style this post component, right? So here inside our home only, we have our post component. Let's give it a border of 1 pixel solid. Let's give it E1, 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 slightly grayish background. Give it a padding of top bottom 20 pixel, right left 10 pixel. Save it, see what happens. It's too much. You basically have to give margins 0 over here to h1, right? And padding should also be 0 for the h1. Again, we are doing something wrong over here. This should basically come inside post heading, right? So inside dot home dot post, we have an h2 tag, right? So let's just check it out. So we have h3 maybe. So we'll just give it margin 0, padding 0, refresh, everything looking fine. Let's remove the red border, save it, and I think it is fine for now, right? Great. So this is basically the heading of the blog, right? And once we click on this, it will navigate to my post detail page, and this is just the some part of the blog, right? Some content of the blog rather. And also what we can do is we can just like write some created ad thing also over here, like on which date it was created. We can do that as well, but for now let's just remain like this, and let's just style the heading a bit. We'll give it a font size of, let's say, 25 pixel. We want to give font weight of bold. Save it, refresh, and I think this looks a little bit nice than before. and let's just change the heading color over here to let's say a pinkish type color. Refresh. Let's just console. Let's just quickly do inspect over here and change our color accordingly. So let me just increase the size for you guys, and this pink should be a little bit different. Let's try different colors. Green. This one looks nice, or this one. This one looks nice. So let's take this or this one. Okay, so let's take the blue one only. So we'll take the blue one, save it, and we have our Unified Nations blog at the top. Awesome. And I think padding is a little bit more top bottom. So rather let's make it 10 only and give it a uh, border radius of let's say 5 pixel, and we'll also give it a margin top of 10 pixel, because if you have multiple posts, rather it will basically get stuck with other posts, right? So I think this is fine for now. Great. So again, guys, we're just keeping it very minimal. We'll not do anything fancy over here. Keeping our styles minimal and just uh, focus on basically styling, or not styling basically, but creating the whole application using React and Firebase, right? So our main focus will be there. One more thing I want to do over here is inside H1, just below it, uh, I'll do a div, and here what I want to do is by Akash, right? So we'll just write a by thing over here, by whom this blog is written, right? So we want to add that as well. Let's quickly style that as well. Over here, let's quickly grab it, right? And we'll do text align center. Great. And what we need to do is also do text. Let's make it text decoration. No, what we want to do is what I want to do is basically just make it italicized. So let's search that out. Italics HTML, sorry, italic CSS. So if I want to create a text font style properties for that, so we'll say font style, and it'll make it italics. Great. And I think this is fine. Right, so what we'll do is we'll just decrease the H1 bottom margin so that it comes over here at the top, right? So let's really do that. Index.css H1, we'll say margin bottom, let's give it, I think 2 pixel is fine, right? And inside of home, let's make it give it a class blog by, or rather an ID. Save that, come over here, and we'll say blog by text line center and everything. And now we have this, right? So let's give this a margin bottom as well. Bottom. So we'll give it a 20 pixel margin, and we will have a separation over it. So that's fine. That's fine for now. And let's even just font size. Let's just decrease the font size for this as well. 18 pixel. No, I think 13 is fine. So let's do that. 13 pixel. So we'll say dot home dot post p tag font size 13. Save it. Refresh, and uh, our font size is now correct, right? So that's awesome. We have designed our home page. Let's quickly design our other two pages as well. So we'll go to post detail, right? And here, what we want to do is we'll give a class of post detail, awesome. And here we have an H1, great. And also here we'll have the heading. So let's copy this heading only. England defeats Iceland. Do it over here like this. And now we'll have what do you say, multiple paragraphs. So let's just put everything in one para over here for now, right? And one more thing, what I want to do is uh, 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 I just want to basically in my home.js, I want to make this a link, right? So whatever this h1 is, I want this basically be converted into a link so that when we click on this particular link, we redirect our user to that particular post detail, right? So for that, what we'll do is we'll basically just convert it into a link, and it will be two. It will basically take me to uh, this particular post, right? Let's do like this. And what will the link? Link will be post slash some ID, right? Because create post component is slash some ID, right? Some ID. Let's hard code it for now, and we'll see how we can figure that out, right? So import link from React router DOM. Again, it should be in quotes. Save it, refresh it, and it should be a link. So now it is a link, right? And once I click on it, you see the route change some ID, right? So now we basically come to the detail page, right? So let's just quickly style this a bit because looks does not look very nice. So here what we'll do is we'll say color black, we'll say text decoration, none. What was that? We have to remove the underline thing over here. So as text decoration, or let's just Google it out, remove underline from link CSS. So I think it is text decoration none only. Yep, it's text decoration none. So what is happening? Okay, so we have to remove this A over here, right? Inside this post, whatever A we have, this particular anchor tag will have text decoration of none, right? So that's good. That's good. So let's remove that quickly. So what we'll say inside index.css, inside home, whatever post have an anchor tag, just do text decoration, none, fine. And color should be black. And what I'll do is once we highlight this, I'll change the color. So I'll say hover, once we hover it, sorry, hover the post title, then we'll change this to the color, this blue color itself, color, so that it looks a little bit different. Refresh, and now you see it basically changes color. That means I can click on it. When I click on it, I come back to this post detail page, right? Let's quickly style that. And here in post detail, what I'll do is uh, let's copy this. Great. And post detail, let's come over here in index.js file. Uh, h1 text align center, uh, center, save it, refresh, text align center, right? So everything is fine. Now, what all we have to do is just we have to write this some text over here, right? So let's get some text, lorem ipsum text. So it is basically some text, some random text, right? So we just copy some lorem ipsum and we'll paste it over there so that we have some random text, right? So we have all of this text. Great. So let's copy this. Let's copy this one. Go over here and paste it. Remove the quotation. Save it and go back to the browser, and we have our text over here, right? So this looks fine. Looks fine. Uh, what else I want to do over here? What else? Right. So one more thing, what I want to do over here is I'll give a home button at the top, right? Uh, let's give a home button at the top, or rather, let's create a navigation bar at the top. What do you say? So let's create a navigation bar at the top itself in our app.js. Over here, I want to create a navigation bar. So I'll now create a component nav bar. I'll import it over here. From here, let's create a new component, new file navbar.js. Hope RCC works now. Snippets. Today they're not basically they're not giving me anything. So, anyways, let's just copy this create post code and paste it in our navbar, and this we'll name it to navbar, right? And we'll style the navbar. Don't worry about that, right? We'll have to import it as well. Import and export. Import navbar. Copy it from navbar like this, and we will export it like this. So I think everything should work fine now. If I go back to app.js, save it, our navbar will be at the very top, right? So let's just give a few links in our navbar. So we'll have, mm, let's have a link to home. What do you say? Let's just give it a UL, an LI, and this will basically contain the link to this. This will be home, and this will be import link. We'll import link from our React router DOM again. That sounds awesome. If we go back over here, our navbar will be common along each and every uh, what do you say, each and every page, right? So let's quickly style this as well. I give it an ID of nav, right? And if I go over here, select this one over here, select the UL over here. I'll do text decoration. It's not text decoration, sorry. UL has list style type of none. Great. That's awesome. Let's do that. So instead of index.css, we have our nav, we'll do list style type none, list style type none. Inside li, we'll have an li, we'll have an a, we'll do text decoration of none. Great, that's great. Save it. We don't have text decoration. That's great. I think it has some margin as well. UL has some padding. So let's remove that padding as well. Padding equals to 0. And what I want to do is li, let's give it a color as well of black. And on hover of this, we'll underline it, right? So hover, we'll do text decoration, decoration. We have underline, 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 save it. If I come over here and do like this, it will basically underline for me. And let's even change the color to a grayish kind of thing. Right? So yeah, so I think this is fine. 9EEE, that's great. So we have one common navigation, as if when I basically click on this, it will take back me to home, right? When I go over here, it will take back me to home. So that's great. I think we have styled this also. This is minimal and fine. So let's create a final component, which is create post before we jump onto our Firebase. Great. And let's quickly go to our create post component and create that. Right. So I'll wrap this around in H1. Create post. That's great. Again, give a class of create post, right? And navbar, let's close the navbar. Let's close the app.js. Let's close the index. Inside index.css, inside create post, uh, we have an h1, right? H1 will do text align center, save it, and if I go to create post, so let's give another create post link over here as well. So in my navbar, I'll give another link, which will be create post, right? That would be great. And this will be create slash post, save it, refresh, and it will come just beside this, right? So we have to style it a little bit more. So what we'll do is, again, index.css, our UL will basically be display of flex, right? And our LI will basically be having a padding left, uh, rather margin left, 5 pixel. Let's save it and check. Create post, give it a little bit more margin. 10 is fine. Great. So that's fine. That's fine. So that is okay. And if I click over here, create post, I have create post component. And since we have this navbar common, it will take me back to home. That sounds really great. Let's create a create post form as well over here. We'll have create post form. So let's create that. So here, what I want to do is I want to have three things. First is the post title itself, post subtitle, which will come at the in the home page, and then we'll have the post content. Right, so we'll have three things, and then we'll have the submit button at the very end. That sounds great. So let's go ahead and create that, right? And let's create divisions over here. Inside this, I'll have a label, and label will be, let's say, post title. And here I'll have an input. It should be closed like this. That's awesome. And make it class of form field. Right? So we'll just copy it, paste it like this. This will be post subtitle. This will be uh, content. Let's name it content. And this will rather be a text area because we want to give a huge space to write. If I refresh, and it looks okay, we have to style it a bit. That's fine. That's fine. Uh, let's just go to form field. That's awesome. Let's just give it a display of flex, and we'll do flex direction as column. That's nice. That's nice. This is fine. And also margin bottom of 10 pixel more, 20. 16 is fine. Copy this, go to index.css, we'll say dot create post, we'll say dot form field, and we'll do this, refresh, and everything is fine, looks good. Let's just quickly style our inputs a little bit. I want to give it a height of 25 pixel, rather more. It should be big enough, right? And we want to give a border of 1 pixel, solid, hashtag E1, 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 a little bit grayish. I like a little bit grayish. It looks neat, right? And uh, margin top as well of 5 pixel. That's great. Border radius of 5 pixel. Less 3 is fine. So now what we'll do is inside form field, We'll have input like this over here. Inside form field, we have inputs to make it like this. That's awesome. We'll have to change the font size as well. Size should be 20 pixel. Let's type something. 20 pixels is fine. I think, okay, so I think we're increasing the size of this. Uh, should be a little less. This is fine. And we'll give it a padding left as well. Left as well of 10 pixel. That is fine. Great. So font, I think rather we should give 18 pixel. So we give 18 pixel. That's awesome. Refresh and everything should look fine. Should look fine. Should look fine. Great. I think padding is a little bit more. This should be not 18. It should be 10. This should be 18. That's fine. Awesome. So now let's quickly go and correct the content also. Text area also style that as well. Style that as well. Text area. This is our text area, right? Let's give it a height of 200 pixel, rather 300, 400. Let's give it a 400. So guys, here I'm just giving it a text area. So what you can do is instead of giving it a text area, you can basically provide a, plugin as well, a plugin to write various things like if you want to go for Markdown, you can basically get a Markdown plugin over here as well, so that you are able to write Markdown stuff over here inside the text area, right? Or if you want to go for editors, we have uh, React editors as well, text editors, so you can import the plugin and put it in your website, in your blog. Uh, so we call it rich text editor components. So if I go to draft.js, I think yeah, something like this, right? So we have H1, H2, and things like that. You can just put it here. You can just use this draft.js. I think this is by Facebook itself, right? You can use this one, this component, and you can use it over here, right? Instead of text. That's fine. That's your choice. I'll not do that. So let's give margin bottom of 9 pixel so that everything our uh, content also gives relatively same margin, right? So let's give font size and padding as well to this as well as this. Right, save it, refresh, and I think this looks nice. Okay, so let's give it a padding top as well over here. Top of 5 pixel will do. And also in post, create post, we also have to create one more thing which we forgot, which is a button, right? And we'll say create post, save it, and we'll have a create post button at the bottom over here. That's nice. Let's style this as well. Get this, and we'll do a height of 20 pixel, maybe more. I think this is fine. We'll give it a background of aquamarine. What's this? Or rather select some styles which you already have. I think this one would do. We'll give it a border of none or zero and a color of white, padding of 5 pixel. That's fine. Uh, Font size of 20 pixel or a little bit less. That's fine. That's fine. I think this is fine. This is fine. And we'll give it a border radius as well. I like round corners. This is fine. Let's copy this. And I think with this we have created our create post button as well. let's give it a class of create post btn, save it, and we'll say dot create post btn, save it, and we have a button as well, style as well. That's awesome. I think on hover we need to give it a cursor as well. So let's do that. On hover, let's give it a cursor of pointer here only, right? So no need of hovering. So cursor has a pointer, right? So I think this is fine. We have post title, we have post subtitle, we have content, we have create post. So that's fine. We have create post page as well. We have our home page, we have our detail page, and I think everything is fine. So our styling is basically done. What remains is basically we just have to add Firebase to this.
For new programming updates and videos, subscribe to Coding Ninjas channel.